Hey, welcome to this short training video. I'm Jonathan at Steep, and today I want to share with you two important things that I think will help you reevaluate the way that you look at your marketing. And one of the questions I get very often is like, what are the key metrics that indicate performance of a campaign? I think oftentimes this is an important thing for us as marketers to look at. We always want to track ROI, but we can't do that at the expense of really missing what matters most. And so what I want to walk you through is some math that I think will really help you evaluate what your marketing program is doing for you. And it's going to highlight the benefits of a new program we have called Evergreen Webinars. So this kind of begs the question from the very beginning, like, why do we do seminars and webinars? And really, at the end of the day, by the time someone's gone through an hour-long content, whether it's in person or on a webinar, these people have a lot of understanding of who you are as a person, the principles you have. Maybe you've even highlighted specific issues that they might have with their current financial plan. And now all of a sudden, when they come into their first appointment, it's not a cold lead. Like, this person is what we call pre-indoctrinated. They understand who you are and they're speaking the same language. They've already raised their hand and say, hey, I'm kind of interested in that. And so you really have almost had a first appointment with somebody by the time they've gone through this training program. And that means that the value of a lead who's gone through long form content with you is much, much higher than a cold lead who just fills out a form and you kind of have to go through all that from the beginning. So what I want to emphasize to you when it comes to measuring your marketing is to really focus not so much on just purely cost per lead, but break it down one step lower and talk about your cost per view. So specifically with webinars, cost per view is something that's easy to measure and I can kind of break that down for you. But what I really want to highlight is how cost per view matters and how it changes so much when our attendance rate increases. So if you want to look over here at the whiteboard, hopefully you can understand my chicken scratch. This purple marker may not be the best thing in the whole world, but hopefully I'll walk you through some numbers that'll help you understand this. What we're going to do is we're going to contrast the performance of our traditional webinar campaigns with our brand new Evergreen campaign and show you how tracking cost per lead can make a massive case for using Evergreen in your practice. So breaking down the math here, a traditional webinar campaign with Steep, if you do our large campaign in a tier 1 program, is about $4,400. That'll get you 50 leads. And again, this is our flat rate pricing, so that number could be slightly higher or slightly lower than that, but roughly you're 50 leads. And if you just take those numbers divided by each other, you're spending $88 per lead. So this is where most people stop, 88 bucks per lead. That's what we pay for webinars. Let's go one step further. Now, we just did a data analysis on our last, really the first quarter of this year and all of last year to see what is our average attendance rate with traditional webinars. Keep in mind the traditional attendance rate, or the average for the industry, cold traffic to a webinar is 16%. I'm really happy to show you that the analysis that we did over our last really 20 months of marketing shows that we have a 35% average attendance rate with our webinars. So let's take it one step further. Your 50 leads, 35% view, that brings you to 17.5, we'll call it 18 views per webinar. Now let's look at what that actually costs us. Those 18 views, $4,400, you're looking at about a $244 cost per view. Now that's pretty good, and when you compare this to other forms of marketing, maybe seminars or even webinars with other vendors, $244 is a good cost per view. Now let's look at how much that changes without too much difference in cost per lead when we start going to Evergreen. So with Evergreen, the same comparable campaign, a tier 1 campaign, is going to be $6,000. In a local campaign, we expect that to generate about 75 registrations. If you're doing a regional campaign, it'll be about 100. So I've done the math both ways. That's going to bring your cost per lead to $80 to $60 depending on which of these two types of campaign you have. So automatically right off the bat, you do have some cost advantage here, but really you're talking about 12% difference in lead cost being conservative. The difference here is that rather than talking about a 35% attendance rate, Evergreen webinars are averaging 60% attendance rate. So now all of a sudden, instead of having 18 views, we're at between 45 and 60, again, depending on how many registrations we have. And when you do the math on this, your 6,000 divided by either your 45 or 60, you're looking at between $100 and $133 per view. That's literally more than a 50% difference than traditional webinars. So again, when you're looking at your marketing program, sometimes we get fixated with how much does this thing cost? How much the setup cost? Got to run a 30-day campaign. Oh, it's slightly more than a regular webinar. Yes, all of these things matter, and even your regular cost per lead matters as well. But when it comes down to it, if you're looking to get maximum number of people who have heard your message, are pre-indoctrinated, have already raised their hand, understand their problem, and you're trying to maximize that, really what you should be focused on is what is your view rate and what is your cost per view. Based on the math that we've done with our Evergreen campaign, I think you're going to see a huge advantage of this, and I'm excited that you are thinking about adding this to your practice. I really think it'll help you. Talk to your account manager and see other ways that we can help you, but hopefully this is helpful. Focus on your cost per view and think about using Evergreen.